Hello everyone, Dr. J here and welcome to my channel. And may I also say happy Thanksgiving. 2020 has been so strange with many things that a lot of people aren't thankful for and are so ready to get 2020 over. But I challenge you to find the blessings that this year brought you. For me, it brought finalizing my doctoral research, finalizing my dissertation, successfully defending it, getting my doctoral degree and Doctor of Business Administration degree. I kept my job. I was promoted in 2020. All in all, my family stayed safe. We've stayed healthy. We've stayed employed, and I know there's a lot of people out there that haven't. For you, I'm praying for you. But find the blessings. There are a lot to be found. Today we're going to do a little different Thanksgiving than normal. I'm filming this on Thanksgiving Day. My family, we're choosing to isolate. We're not going to be around family. We're going to stay home by ourselves. But I'm still going to try to make a little bit of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner with a twist. So I don't have to make a huge big turkey or anything along those lines. I'm going to make some turkey thighs, boneless, skinless turkey thighs. I skinned them and boned them myself. I've got some homemade cranberry sauce that I've already made that's in the fridge setting up, and I'll show you all about that in a second. I've got some mashed potatoes, some dressing that we're going to make, and some Parker House rolls. I'll show you that as well. And we're going to have the best Thanksgiving we can, just a family hanging out with each other. So come on in a little closer. I'll show you what we got going on here on the grill.
For the Parker House rolls, we start out with 1.5 cups milk. We'll add a 1/2 cup sugar, 1 stick of butter, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and we'll put that on the fire, get it just melted together and all dissolved. And then into a 1/2 cup of warm water, we place 1 package of active dry yeast. We also beat 3 large eggs, and then we'll temper those eggs with our warm mixture, mixing it constantly so that you don't scramble your eggs. And then we'll mix in our wet ingredients with our yeast and our 6 cups of all-purpose flour. You may have to add just a little bit if it remains tacky. I had to add just a little bit towards the end. Then once that's all combined, you'll knead that until it is smooth, and then let it rise for 1 hour in an oiled bowl. I have a proof setting on my oven, so I turn the proof on, cover it, put it in the oven for an hour, check it and make sure it's doubled. As long as we're good, then I start portioning it out. When you go to portion out your dough, you want to spray your cooking surface with some cooking oil, or rub it down with a little oil. And I portion it out into about a baseball size ball. You can either spread them out or you can place them closer together so that they rise together. That's my preferred method, and I did half of these to where they were spread out and half of them where they were closer together. And since I couldn't find just the standard active dry yeast and I used the rapid rise yeast, they really grew fast on me and got a lot bigger than I expected, a lot quicker than I expected. And this method you're seeing right here, this is where I put all of them a little closer together, and those will rise in together and make a very nice dinner style size roll. That's our preference for sure. A little more dense, a little more airy. They're just a really, really good Parker House roll. When they come out of the oven, they're nice and brown. Baste them in butter. You talk about a fantastic addition to any meal. I also wanted to take my turkey thighs and go ahead and skin them and debone them so that we could use them like a traditional chicken thigh that's been deboned and skinned. Cooked them up the same way and worked really, really well. It's not very difficult. There's just one bone in the thigh, and if you take your knife and go around that bone, you can cut it out pretty easily and get a good boneless, skinless turkey thigh in this instance in a relatively short amount of time. And I don't think you're going to find boneless, skinless turkey thighs in your grocery aisle. Once I got them all deboned and skinned, I covered both sides liberally with salt and let them sit in the fridge for a couple of hours. This is kind of replicating a dry brine situation. And I'm not trying to draw too much moisture out, but I want to flavor that turkey. Now for the homemade cranberry sauce. I took one package of cranberries, went ahead and rinsed them off and washed them really well. I also had one whole orange, and I used the juice and the zest of the orange, and in hindsight, I should have zested that orange before I squeezed the juice out of it. Made it a little more difficult on the back end trying to get the zest off. I then used a couple of large tablespoons of honey and just a couple of shakes of ground cinnamon and ground nutmeg to finish off the flavorings. And I'm telling you, the smell off of that cranberry sauce and the flavor that you get out of it for almost no effort, it is well worth your time to make fresh homemade cranberry sauce. I cooked the cranberries until all of them burst and mushed up well and all the pectin activated, and it turned into a wonderful cranberry sauce. Poured it into a bowl, let it cool on the counter for a few minutes before putting it in the fridge, and then let it sit in the fridge for a couple of hours and set up. And it turned out so good.
In a pan here, I'm going to put just a little squirt of canola oil to keep my butter from burning. Got 2 tablespoons of Kerrygold butter. I'm going to drop in the pan there. Get that going. And I also have a half cup each of celery and white onion diced. Get that butter going around. We're just going to let these go for a little while. Let them get nice and tender and ready for our dressing. Alright, so our vegetables are pretty well ready. I've got a little bit of rubbed sage here I'm going to add. I like a sage flavor in my stuffing, dressing, whatever you call it. It's always been dressing in our family's houses. Let that get nice and fragrant. And then I've got a cup of chicken stock here. This is actually chicken bone broth. I'm going to put that cup of chicken bone broth in here. Let that come up to a boil for a few minutes. So while we're letting that come to a simmer, I've got some turkey thighs here that I deboned and deskinned. These were $4 a pack roundabout, so about $8 for 2 packs of thighs. And we prefer the dark meat. That's just our personal preference. I don't mind turkey breast, but I usually do a turkey breast with an injection. I didn't want to go to all that trouble. I just wanted to put some seasoning on here. I've got onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and a little bit of Cajun seasoning is all I've got on here. I'm going to go ahead and throw these on the griddle. Let them get started here. And I'm going to cook these just as I would regular turkey thighs. Nothing super fancy, nothing super major. Just let them cook until they're cooked all the way through. I'm going to pull them off, let them rest for a few minutes, then shred them up a little bit. We actually like it shredded up with gravy, and once I dump these this dressing mix here on our breadcrumbs and get our dressing going, and I've got just kind of a pre-made mix. This is from Pepper's Farm with some wheat and some white bread cubes ready to go. No seasoning to speak of really in there too much, but all of it's going to come from that wonderful broth that we've got in there. We'll dump that in there, let it mix up, let it set for a few minutes, finish off our turkey thighs, start our turkey gravy. I've already got the mashed potatoes and the rolls done inside the house, and we're getting there quick. The dressing mix looks just about perfect. That looks very nice. I'm going to bring my bread mix over here. Set that here. Dump over my liquids and my veggies. Go ahead and give that a good mix. I'm going to mix this up and just let it sit to the side. It's ready to go. See, that's nice and mixed up now. Just going to let that sit for a few minutes and kind of meld together. Got a couple more tablespoons of butter here. I'm going to throw in that same pan. That same pan's already got some nice flavoring in there. Put those couple tablespoons of butter in here, let them get going. Let's give our turkey a little bit of a flip. Looking good. To my butter, I got a couple of tablespoons of flour we're going to add, start building the roux. Hopefully I brought enough out. I might have to get a little more. That looks about right. Go ahead and let that roux start cooking that flour taste off. Well, that's going to make it as a cover for that turkey. That turkey's awful thick. It may need a little bit of help. Roux looking good. Got some more of that bone broth. I got this at Costco is where I got it. Man, I mean to tell you, this stuff is great. You have to forgive the wind. It is Oklahoma. It is a windy Thanksgiving day, but it's sure nice. It's about 67 degrees right now. Feels wonderful. I wish you could smell that dressing mix. I mean to tell you, it smells fantastic. What we're going to do, the best parts of dressing to me are those crusty bits on the edges of the pan. I'm going to try to simulate just a little bit what that might be like. Start whisking in a little bit of this bone broth. Our gravy start coming together. See that immediately start to thicken up nice. Go ahead and put in a little more bone broth. And I've got more liquid in here. It's going to cool this down quite a bit. It might have to come back to a boil again before it'll thicken up where we need it to. Actually, it's looking pretty good. Alright, let's give our turkey a little flip and see how it's looking. Looking pretty darn good here. Right there, we're already up about 147. About 130 in the thick part there. 142, 150. So I think our top on there is working fantastic. We're gonna let that go a little bit longer. Once it pulls off to rest, we're gonna start cooking our stuffing patties. I don't think these will mound together like patties, but we'll make little mounds for our stuffing. Turkey one more flip. That is looking so good. And look at that, guys. Add just a touch of cream to this as well. Not that it isn't going to be plenty rich. Just give it that lusciousness you're looking for in a good Thanksgiving gravy. No, it's not a turkey gravy. If I made my own turkey, which I normally do, and I had a whole bird and had the drippings left over, I take those drippings and make a gravy out of it. And you talk about delicious. Alright, so let's check our bird here. Pretty sure we should be there everywhere. Just about perfect. Yep. Pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and pull this bird off. We're going to let it rest for just a minute here. And we'll come back and shred it up. So I'm going to put just a little bit of oil down. Make sure our dressing doesn't stick. I'm going to take that dressing mix that's been sitting over here. We'll put it down in a few scoops. Just little piles. Warm it through real well. We're also going to put a little crust on it. I don't know how well it'll stay together. This is pretty well broken up. It doesn't want to stay together too much as it is, but we'll try to keep it in little hash brown like piles. Nice and warm through. Oh yeah, man, that smells good. Go ahead and get this gravy in a bowl here. There we go. Our gravy is ready. Let's go ahead and get dressing in here. I'm not going to worry too much about keeping it together since it fell apart. Our dressing's ready. Our turkey's ready. Our rolls are ready. Our mashed potatoes are ready. That tells me it is time to eat. Let me go make us a plate and we'll give this a try, guys. Alright guys, there we are. Thanksgiving feast. Got turkey thigh, dressing, mashed potatoes, our wonderful gravy, just a can of corn. I wanted something on the side. That fresh homemade cranberry sauce and homemade Parker House rolls. Look at that thing. That thing just looks amazing. Alright, let's give this a taste. There's not much that beats a good Thanksgiving dinner. Plain and simple. Yum. But it's more than just the dinner that makes Thanksgiving special. And like I said in the beginning, find a way to make 2020 one of the more thankful years you've ever had. If you look back into all the blessings that you've received, I promise you there's far more than you realize. For me, I'm thankful for each and every one of you that make the choice to watch my videos. Thank you very, very much. Let's see how this tastes. One of my favorite things on the planet has always been a good Thanksgiving dressing. I've never been a big fan of the onions and the celery in it, but it doesn't taste right without it. It just doesn't. I tried to pick it out, to be honest. Some of that nice gravy on top. Oh man. You get the crunch from being on that griddle. That tastes like Granny made. I'm telling you, that's phenomenal. Wow, that's good. That turkey thigh that we basically treated it like a boneless, skinless chicken thigh. Grilled it up. the gravy on top. It's nice and tender. You would never know if someone didn't tell you that that wasn't roasted in the oven for hours and hours and hours. There's so much flavor. These potatoes, I'm going to show you one of these days, I promise. They're just mashed potatoes, but man, they're good. You gotta have a little corn. And that homemade cranberry sauce, not out of a can. That's homemade with real cranberries, real orange juice, honey. It's mind-blowing how much better that is. God, that's so good with all this richness. Nice and bright and acidic. It's phenomenal. And then those Parker House rolls. Look how airy and fluffy those are, and covered in butter. Dipped in a little bit of that gravy. Thank you guys for joining me on this Thanksgiving Day cook as we prepared a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. Traditional yet not, here on the Blackstone Griddle, mostly. Some of it's on the stovetop inside. But I tell you what, I've enjoyed it immensely. I'm very thankful, like I said, for each and every one of you. I ask that if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. I'm over 325 now. I can't believe there's 325 people out there that have said we want to see more of your videos, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't take that for granted. I know in YouTube land that is nothing, but to me it's everything, and I mean that with all of my heart. I hope you and your family had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. You'll see this afterwards, and maybe this will give you some ideas on how you can serve up some of your leftovers. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you again soon.